Now at 9, Quapaw Nation celebrates its annual Heritage Powwow event. Plus, Keltori Winery holds a red wine and blue event in honor of the 4th of July holiday. And we'll tell you some travel tips to keep you and your family safe during the holiday weekend.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Amber Jenkins. An Elk City, Kansas woman was killed after being hit by an emergency vehicle. It happened just before 10 o'clock last night on Franklin Street, south of Sycamore Street. Authorities say the emergency vehicle was responding to a medical call with its emergency lights activated. They say it then made a wide turn and hit 72-year-old Victoria Eddington, who was sitting in a car on the west side of Franklin Street. Eddington was pronounced dead at the scene. The driver and passenger of the emergency vehicle were not injured. St. Louis police are investigating an incident involving a woman dying after a tree fell on a car. The St. Louis area faced heavy rain and winds on Saturday. Police say a tree fell on the car the woman was sitting inside in during the storm. Intense winds and power outages were reported across the area. Meteorologist Sam Lane joins us with the first look at weather.
All right, thank you very much. Yeah, lots of severe weather in various parts across the country, even southern Canada with a large tornado yesterday, but not in our area, thank goodness. Instead, we have some sunshine and some hot weather. Your UV index for tomorrow looks like this, 10, which is very high, which means it only takes about 15 to 25 minutes before you start to experience sunburn. And if you're heading out to the lakes, be sure to be using the sunscreen. Grand Lake right now looking great, right at normal, 80-degree water temperature. Table Rock looking pretty good as well, just under a foot above normal and 84 degrees on the water temperature. In Stockton right now is at about a foot above normal and 74 degrees. Your 4th of July forecast looks like this. We're going to have partly cloudy skies on the morning hours, around 69 to start the day, 94 in the afternoon with isolated storms possible, and then 86 by 10 o'clock. Looking down the lane, we have a hot holiday. A drought continues, of course, increasing storm chances though, and also a little bit of a cool down I'll talk about in just a bit.
The Quapaw Nation is celebrating its 151st annual powwow this weekend. A part of that celebration was the creation and discovery of Quapaw ancestry. Those who were curious got the chance to sit down and look back on their heritage, making new discoveries and sentimenting history for themselves and the Quapaw Nation.
So I've traveled all over the United States and various places around Quapaw and in Oklahoma and Arkansas, Missouri and Kansas and whatever. And I've been to all the archives in Dallas and Washington, D.C. and collecting information.
As people, as our tribe, as well as other indigenous nations, as they, move away and spread out even further, to be able to provide that linkage and that history back to who they came from, it strengthens those bonds so that they know they always came from home.
The Quapaw Powwow will continue through the 4th of July, and all the events are available for all ages throughout the weekend. Keltori Winery is throwing their own 4th of July celebration. The winery in Jasper is celebrating 25 years of business and has created a fun red, white, and blue slushie specifically for this time of the year.
It's really great, and people are looking for something to do on a holiday like this, and we are kid friendly, we're pet friendly, because you see around here dogs and some cats and the kids and everything, and they get out here and they can walk around the property. A little hot today, but we have a park there in back. A lot of folks like to go down there and make a little pilgrimage to go and kiss the Blarney Stone.
The winery is also supporting a 5-week campaign to raise funds for Folds of Honor. Those who donate will have their names displayed at the winery. Well, it's America's birthday this weekend, and as many people get out to celebrate it, traffic officials are reminding drivers to be safe on the road. Fox Gabby Easterwood has more on those tips they want to share.
Above average traffic, a given this weekend, as Coloradans celebrate the 4th of July. Jefferson County Sheriff's Office, one of those agencies preparing.
Just follow the rules of the road.
CDOT is suspending all construction projects until next Wednesday to help minimize potential delays. They broke down the numbers for us at the Eisenhower Tunnel from July 4th weekend last year. On Friday, July 1st, there were 49,767 drivers passing through. On Saturday, there were 45,790, and Sunday, there were 43,199, making that a total of 218,806 drivers throughout the weekend, leading to the day after the 4th. This weekend, also a time for increased DUI enforcement.
Also, just remember that we will have extra patrolling for drunk drivers.
Please celebrate responsibly. Don't drink and drive. Please get a safe ride home or use a ride share. The Douglas County Sheriff's Office will be out in force doing DUI enforcement during the 4th of July holiday weekend.
And here are just a few simple tips to help you be safe on the roadways. Stay alert, avoid distractions, watch out for bikes and pedestrians, obey speed limits, share the road with motorcycles, and remember, larger vehicles tend to drive slower, so be prepared to slow down and stay out of their blind spot.
Follow the rules. That's all you've got to do, and you'll have a nice, safe July 4th.
Coming up, documents claim the government cover up the COVID leak lab theory. We'll take a look. The Biden administration is moving forward with plans for Medicare to negotiate directly with drug makers, despite several lawsuits. The Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, or CMS, released new guidance for the program, including how the agency will select the first set of medications. CMS will announce the first 10 drugs selected for negotiations by September 1st. Then Medicaid and drug makers will begin negotiations. The agreed upon prices will be effective in 2026. There are new claims questioning the government's handling of the COVID-19 pandemic. Fox News has seen documents indicating the point of interest person for the effort, Dr. Anthony Fauci, may have tried to stamp down the theory that the virus escaped from a Chinese lab. Fox News senior congressional correspondent Chad Pergram reports.
The panel contends that it has evidence that Dr. Anthony Fauci tried to curb discussion that a lab leak sparked the pandemic. Subcommittee Chairman Brad Wenstrup obtained messages from Fauci Deputy David Morins, writing, quote, "Tony doesn't want his fingerprints on origin stories."
What would be the reason for not having a scientific debate, for wanting to squash one of the potential theories that exist?
Fauci has historically pushed back against the lab leak theory.
The evidence very strongly points to this being a natural occurrence of a jump from an animal species to a human.
But other scientists accuse Fauci of scientific spin.
The conspiracy here really was on the other side, which was to really get a single narrative to support the spillover event.
Raul Ruiz, the top Democrat on the COVID panel, says the GOP wants to, quote, vilify Dr. Fauci. Wenstrup says Morins, Fauci's deputy, used his private email to duck Freedom of Information requests. Other Democrats defend Fauci.
Tony's fingerprints aren't on this. What I'm concerned about is that information is being cherry-picked to be used to go after somebody.
Dr. Christian Anderson communicated with Fauci in January 2020 that the signature of the virus made him wonder if it was man-made. But Anderson missed a deadline to comply with a subpoena for information. Wenstrup accused Fauci of undercutting the lab leak theory because the U.S. funded research in Wuhan. Fauci says there was a small grant to study bats in China, but told Fox in January that research would be, quote, impossible to trigger a pandemic. On Capitol Hill, Chad Pergram, Fox News.
Sam is next with a complete look at the forecast. And later, the Mocan Showdown wraps up the weekend tournament. Brock Baldwin will have the highlights and more in sports.
Well, we're halfway through the holiday weekend, and so far so good with lots of sunshine. A little bit on the cooler side today. We mainly stayed in the 80s across the area, including Seneca, Missouri, at Indigo Sky Casino and Resort. As we go through the day, you can see around mid-morning we had cumulus clouds developing with the afternoon heating, and then this afternoon, lots of sunshine, just a few puffy cumulus clouds out there, and that is about it. And as the sun goes down, those cumulus clouds start to dissipate just a little bit. And let's take a look at the high today in Joplin. We did make it up to 89, which was right on target. 67 for the low, which was slightly below the normal of 69. Of course, we're way behind on the month as far as the rainfall goes and the year. Hopefully we're going to catch up on that a little bit as we go through the forecast. But right now, radar is clear. We don't have really anything going on in our area, just a little bit of ground clutter and moisture being picked up right now. Let's take a look at the temperatures. They're comfortable, generally upper 70s and lower 80s across the area. 81 in Carthage, 78 in Stockton, 76 in Monette, 80 over there in Nowata, 81 in Veneta for one of the warmest readings. And when you factor in the dew point, we're expecting temperatures to feel like in the mid-90s by tomorrow afternoon. A little bit cooler out towards the west with more cloudiness. 98 is what it's going to feel like in Sedan tomorrow afternoon. Then as we go into your 4th of July, look at this. We're expecting heat indexes to be well over 100 degrees, especially in our western counties. A little bit cooler to the east, like Aurora at 83. All right, rain chances are going to be low for the most part for the next 36 hours. And then for Tuesday, isolated storms are possible, but it's mainly going to be towards the east. And we'll show you that on our upper flow map. You can see that right now we have one system departing, and as that departs, we have another system that's going to drop down from the north, and as it does, it's going to send a cold front down our way, but it won't get here until late Wednesday into early Thursday. Here's Wednesday. You can see the storms in northeastern Kansas, and then as we go through Thursday, those showers and storms move through our area in the morning, leaving us with mostly fair skies by Thursday afternoon and much cooler temperatures as well. Rainfall amounts are expected to be on the light side until then, and then when it does rain, the heaviest rain will probably be down towards the south as the front gets hung up a little bit across Oklahoma. Some of the storms on Wednesday night into Thursday morning could be severe, especially in our northeastern sections. So of course we'll keep an eye on that for you. And the threat level is low on all of those potential hazards. Tonight we're going to see mostly fair skies with temperatures dropping down into the 60s and 70s. And then tomorrow we're going to see partly cloudy skies with most of the shower activity off towards the west, with highs in the low to mid 90s. And then as we go into 4th of July morning, light variable winds with lows in the 60s and 70s. And in the afternoon, partly cloudy skies, once again with highs in the low to mid 90s. And again, the better chance of storms will be in our eastern counties. And then as we go into Wednesday morning, notice a system comes in from the north. So maybe our northern counties will see some storms with lows in the 70s. How about the next 7 days? 20% chance of storms tomorrow, 20% on Tuesday, the 4th. A better chance of storms late Wednesday into Thursday, but at least temperatures are going to be cooler as we head in towards the week and the rest of next weekend. So not too bad. It could be much worse, that's for sure, for July.
That is true. We just got to get through the week.
Yep, that's
and the
right.
weekend's going to be pretty cool.
Absolutely.
Thank you. The sweltering heat wave hitting millions of Americans is sticking around for the 4th of July weekend. Fox Matt Nana Popoto has the story coming up.
It's like 92 degrees.
No, it's 98.
Red, white, blue, and sweat. The brutal heat wave that has plagued Texas for weeks is spreading across the deep south, while another system from the west is heating up California. Temperatures could feel as hot as 120 degrees in some regions this weekend. With 4th of July festivities in full swing, people are encouraged to look out for excessive heat warnings and to stay hydrated.
Just trying to keep these boys hydrated, really, and keep them limber and loose. So really about the only thing, you can't drink enough water in conditions like this. So just trying to keep them going.
But forecasters say relief could be on the horizon, with chances of rain increasing on Monday as a cold front moves in from the north. Still, the Climate Prediction Center warns that the cool down may just be temporary. Above average temperatures could return to the south by mid-July. In the meantime, people are finding creative ways to keep cool.
And one of my secrets is the pickle juice.
And they are looking out for one another.
I see a lot of dehydration. I see fire rescue. They got the homeless down there I work with the homeless people. A lot of them, because they don't have the resources to drink the water. That's why even when homeless people come by, I offer water.
Heat alerts are in effect for over 60 million Americans across the U.S. as of Saturday, and folks along the Mississippi River and western Alabama are facing the most intense, excessive heat warnings. Matt Napolitano, Fox News.
Coming up, the nation's transportation system gets a big test as millions of people travel for the holiday. The nation's air transportation is being tested this weekend by a crush of holiday travelers after days of flight cancellations and delays. Fox News correspondent Steve Hartigan has the latest from Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport.
About 300 delayed flights here in Atlanta, more than 3,000 across the country. Right now, lines are moving steadily, about a 20-minute wait to get through the TSA on Friday, the busiest day of this holiday week. They checked in more than 100,000 people here in Atlanta, setting a record that goes back to the Super Bowl in 2019. Travel overall up more than 11% from 1 year ago across the country, really hitting pre-pandemic levels and breaking them this time around. Airport officials are stressing to get to the airport several hours before your flight.
We just had to run all over the place because there was no set patterns this morning.
This morning we rode the hotel shuttle, so it was good. But last night getting in, it was so lined up, I didn't know if we were going to make it today.
The lines are a bit longer, but then we anticipated some long lines. But it's been moving, and the airport security has been doing an amazing job of getting so many people through.
There's also snags outside the airport, a lot of traffic coming in, hard to find a parking space, and long waits for buses in between terminals. In Atlanta, Steve Harrigan, Fox News.
5G technology on airplanes could create problems for airline pilots this summer. The new broadband service went online on airplanes yesterday, but commercial airline pilots say they have concerns about the safety of landings because potential 5G interference with plane technology. Pete Budenteg says about 80% of domestic airlines have made the changes. Up next, we'll take a look at some new pictures captured by the James Webb Space Telescope of Saturn released by NASA. NASA's James Webb Space Telescope has produced perhaps the most spectacular image of Saturn ever captured. This is the first near-infrared observation of the planet, detailing the planet's ring system with 3 of its moons clearly visible. As astronomers study the images, it's possible they may detect some undiscovered moons. The data could also help scientists put together a more complete picture of the current system of Saturn. 30 more minutes of news, weather, and sports coming your way. Coming up, we'll have some boating tips to keep you safe before hitting the water for the weekend. The Lake of the Ozarks is gearing up for a busy, hot 4th of July. Reporter Marina Silva talked to some police and marina workers about what you need to know before hitting the water.
Good. I feel really prepared for the weekend.
Adam Morris is the manager here at Pirates Point and Sunrise Beach. His family owns the marina. He and other workers are trying to stay cool.
It's good to be able to get out of the heat a little bit or jump in the lake and cool off.
Morris says, as with any holiday, there's going to be a lot of people on the water.
There's obviously a lot more traffic out, so there's going to be rougher water conditions. So you need to be aware of the conditions and try not to have people moving around or walking around on the boat.
Lake Ozark police are expecting the same increase in traffic on land.
We will be down at the Strip at our local establishments down there, and hopefully everybody has a great time and behaves themselves.
And this dry, hot weather isn't helping.
So we're asking people, we do have an ordinance in the city that fireworks are not permitted, and I know that some local agencies have been canceling their fireworks because of how dry it's been and how hot. So we want to be mindful that we're following the ordinance.
AAA is expecting higher gas prices on land this year, and Morris says they are definitely seeing that on the water too. Here, regular unleaded gas is $3.99.
Gas prices are a little bit higher this year than they have been in years past, but it's still not too bad. We have had higher several years ago.
But no matter what, everyone wants visitors and locals to stay safe.
We've inflated more bumpers or buoys to protect the boats that pull into our dock and keep them from possibly damaging their boat in the rougher water conditions.
Sam Lane joins us.
All right, thank you very much. We have bright sunny skies on tap for tomorrow, and that means the UV index is going to be very high, 10 on the scale of 0 to 12. That means about 15 to 25 minutes and you start to burn out there, so make sure you have the hat, the sunglasses, and of course the sunscreen, and limit your time outside. One of the places that you can enjoy cooling off is the lakes, of course, and a lot of folks are doing that. Right now, Grand is right about normal. Table Rock is slightly above, but not too bad, 84 degrees on the water temperature. And Stockton is looking pretty good as well, about 1.02 feet above normal with a 74-degree water temperature. How about the 4th of July? Well, we're looking at partly cloudy skies in the morning with a temperature of about 69 degrees, then maybe some isolated thunderstorms in the afternoon, 94, and then as we head towards dusk and evening, around 86 degrees with those storms starting to dissipate. And of course, I'll have more details on your holiday weekend forecast and also cool down coming. We'll tell you about that in just a bit.
The Supreme Court has been making headlines recently as it works through its most controversial cases. In the next term, the justices will decide whether the Second Amendment protects gun owners who have domestic violence restraining orders against them. That's after a federal appeals court invalidated the law, thus making it easier for people with a history of domestic violence to obtain guns. While that is set for next term, the court decided to not issue rulings on 2 other cases. President Biden's campaign promise to eliminate billions of student loans gets shot down. More reactions after yesterday's bombshell Supreme Court decision to block the presidential handout. In response, the president takes a defiant tone, unveiling a Plan B and vowing that the fight is not over. Fox News correspondent Alexandria Hoff has the latest from the White House.
The president has had strong words for the 3 major rulings that came out at the Supreme Court this week and for the court itself, and at the same time is assuring borrowers that they were not misled by his campaign promise, saying that a new plan is in the works to reduce the burden of student loans.
We will ground this new approach in a different law than my original plan, the so-called Higher Education Act. That will allow Secretary Cardona, who's with me today, to compromise, waive, or release loans under certain circumstances.
I need to learn more about this new pathway that the president is speaking of, but I'm very hopeful that would be something that would work for borrowers across the country.
You can hear there that Democrats like Congressman Jamal Bowman are hopeful, but the details about this are scarce in terms of how this new plan would work or who would qualify for potential relief. And it's likely to face the same legal challenges as the president's original $400 billion student debt relief plan that the Supreme Court determined the president lacked authority to move forward with. Now, during a large campaign rally in South Carolina, former President Trump cheered on the trio of 6-3 rulings that disappointed the Biden administration this week.
The Supreme Court also ruled that President Biden is not allowed to wipe out hundreds and hundreds of billions, probably trillions of dollars in student loan debt, which would have been very unfair to the millions and millions of people who have paid their debt.
Former President Trump was quick to point out that he was the one who appointed the 3 conservative justices that now make up the 6-3 majority on the Supreme Court. Reporting from the White House, Alexandria Hoff, Fox News.
Still ahead, another U.S. official visits Ukraine as that nation's bloody war with Russia rages on.
Well, so far so good for the holiday weekend. Not too many showers and thunderstorms out there, mostly sunny skies and also tolerable temperatures, including Seneca, Missouri at Indigo Sky Casino and Resort. Beautiful evening shaping up down there. Just a few high cirrus clouds way off in the distance, but on the most part, mostly fair across the area. We only made it up to 89 today, which was actually where we're supposed to be for this time of year. And of course, we're way behind on the rainfall though, at 8.73 inches so far for the year. There are some storms right now, but they're way out in western Kansas. They are moving to the south and east, and even some severe thunderstorm warnings there. Most of this is going to stay to our south and west. We could see 1 or 2 isolated storms in the morning in our western counties, but most of it is going to stay down to the south and west of us. Temperatures right now are very comfortable, generally in the 70s and lower 80s. 81 in Neosho, as well as Joplin, 79 in Bella Vista, 82 warm degrees down in Jay. Now tomorrow, once we start getting the heat and the humidity added together, we're going to start feeling like in the mid 90s again, even upper 90s out towards the west, like Sedan with 98. Then as we go into Tuesday afternoon, it's going to feel like in the low 100s out to the west, 105 in Nowata, 104 in Sedan, a little bit cooler off towards the east with 83 in Aurora, and rain chances are going to be low for the next 36 hours, maybe ticking up just a bit on Tuesday, but most of that's going to be in the eastern sections. And it's all because we have an area of low pressure over the Midwest right now that's moving out, but another piece of energy is going to drop down from the north, and as it does, it's going to drag a cold front through here, which is going to cool things off, but also bring a chance of showers and storms as we go into Wednesday night and Thursday morning, and then that moves out by Thursday afternoon. Things turn pretty nice around here with temperatures at least more tolerable. Rainfall amounts are going to be on the light side for the most part. Maybe an isolated spot or two could get an inch of rain with the scattered showers and storms as we go through the next few days. There is a risk of severe weather too, but that's going to be up towards the north and east, and that's going to be on Wednesday night and Thursday morning We'll keep a close eye on that for you in case anything gets out of hand. Most of the risk is going to be on the low side. Tonight, we're going to see temperatures in the 60s and 70s, and then tomorrow, partly cloudy skies with highs in the upper 80s to around 90 degrees, especially out towards the west with maybe a few isolated storms. And then as we go into Tuesday morning, looking pretty good, partly cloudy with lows near 70, and then in the afternoon, pretty warm, temperatures in the low 90s across the area with scattered storms possible off towards the east. And then as we go into Wednesday morning, here comes a piece of energy with some storms for our northern counties and temperatures in the 70s. Over the next 7 days, here's what it's looking like. Hot tomorrow, 93. Hot on Tuesday with 94. Of course, that's the 4th of July. And then we start to cool down as we go into Thursday with a high of only 83. But that's because of storms late Wednesday into early Thursday. And then we dry out, but at least we stay tolerable in our temperatures for the remainder of the forecast.
All right, it's looking pretty good.
Yep.
Thank you. As wildfire smoke impact millions of Americans, researchers are taking a look at what exactly is in the air that we're breathing. Aaron Bowling reports from Michigan.
Scientists from Canada have been studying wildfire smoke for quite some time and say cancer-causing formaldehyde and benzene are just two of the gases found in its fumes.
It's quite comparable to industrial, if you were close to an industry where this is a pollutant, sometimes the fire smoke can produce levels that are similar to that.
Cynthia Whaley studies the effects of wildfire smoke. She says wildfire plumes can increase benzene in the air by up to 10 times. The chemicals are created after wildfire smoke interacts with the sun for a long period of time.
It's an area that there's a lot of research going into it, and it's still quite uncertain.
While the fires are burning hundreds of miles away, many people here in mid-Michigan say they are feeling uncertain about how this smoke is affecting their health after spending time outdoors.
Because we can't avoid it. There's nowhere we can run.
I don't have lung issues at all, but I did notice that in coming home in the evening when I got home, my throat was dry, it was very scratchy, and I mean like noticeably. Coming out in the morning to go to work, my eyes automatically start watering like really, really bad.
While it may seem hard to avoid going outdoors, Whaley says research shows that even a loose-fitting mask can reduce the fumes you breathe in by up to 50%. Tighter-fitting masks, or filtered ones like KN95 masks, do an even better job at keeping your lungs safe.
I don't blame people for being a little confused and overwhelmed. Everything does help. That when they say stay inside and close your window, it reduces it a lot.
Coming up in sports, the Joplin Outlaws face their league rival, Nevada, this evening. Plus, American Legion baseball continues in Pittsburgh this weekend. Brock will break down all the highlights next in sports.
On Sunday, the American Legion Baseball Tournament Mocan Showdown wrapped up their final games of the weekend. Teams from all over the southeast Kansas area faced teams in Missouri. The state with the most wins at the end of the tournament will have bragging rights. Pittsburgh Post 64 Patriots going against Lee Summit out of Post 189. We pick things up in the bottom of the fifth. Pittsburgh down 2-0 until Quentin Fears launches this ball out to North Georgia Street. See you later. Solo home run. Pittsburgh only down by 1, 2-1 ball game. In the top of the sixth now, starting pitcher Jonah Sparks. Get the big strikeout there, keeps his team in the game. So we head to the seventh inning now. Same score. Trevor Amershek at the plate. Good piece of hitting here. Keeps this ball down fair, down the right field line. Tucker Atkins races home. Pittsburgh ties the game off the RBI double, 2-2. So we head now to extra innings. Top of the eighth, Lee Summit's Dom Metcalf puts down the suicide squeeze bunt. Lee Summit will have to take the lead there. Pittsburgh down 3-2. Unfortunately, we had a major injury in this game after two players in the outfield collided. We would not continue to play on, so the final score of this game is Lee Summit beats Pittsburgh 5-2. According to a parent in the stands, it sounds like the young man's going to be okay. So in the next game, Iola Post 15 taking on Oak Grove Post 379. Bottom of the first now, Iola down 1-0. Sam Hull pulls this ball down the line, bounces off of the wall. 2 runs are going to come in to score. Iola takes the lead up 2-1. Bottom of the third now, same score. Brandon McCarron at the plate gives this ball a ride deep to right field. This ball will hit off of the wall. McCarron is going to round the bases and slide in at third for an RBI triple. Iowa leads it 3-1. Later in the inning, Caden Barnett will squeak this ball through the left side. RBI single. McCarron will score. He's been all over the highlights.
A U.S. official is confirming reports CIA Director William Burns made a secret visit to Ukraine to meet President Volodymyr Zelensky and intelligence officers. Fox News senior foreign affairs correspondent Greg Palcott is in Ukraine with more.
It is hard to believe an important landmark is coming up here in the next week. 500 days of war, and Saturday was a nasty one. A residential area was hit by Russian artillery around the battered southern city of Kherson. Homes were destroyed, civilian casualties, men, women, and children hurt and killed in recent days. Along the front line itself, it is tough. The chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Milley's latest battlefield assessment, the now summer counteroffensive of Ukraine against Russia, is deliberate, steady, but difficult, slow, and bloody. And this was the period Ukraine was hoping to take advantage of distractions in the regime of Russian President Putin following last week's failed coup. As Member of Parliament Lesia Vasylenko noted to us, that was short-lived. And then the horrors of the Russian attacks went on. Take a listen.
They are espousing the tactics of destroying everything that is Ukrainian about Ukraine. They don't care whether it takes the form of a young child or an elderly person or of a military.
According to the lawmaker, what does Ukraine need to fend off this foe? More Western aid and quicker, especially as new reports suggest those rebellious Wagner mercenary fighters could be setting up camp to the north of here in Belarus. In Kyiv, Greg Palcott, Fox News.
Up next, how a pumpkin muffin ended up rescuing a dog in Arizona. We'll hear from some of the officers on the case. A tasty pumpkin muffin ended up saving the day and a dog that needed some help. Janine Moose reports on this appetizing water rescue.
You don't have to be a muffin connoisseur
A muffin has to have height.
to appreciate a pumpkin muffin.
Hey, puppy. Come here, buddy. Come here. Come here.
When a German Shepherd found himself unable to get out of a canal in Glendale, Arizona, it was a pumpkin muffin that sort of saved the pup.
It's my wife's pumpkin muffins.
Oh, man. How good are her muffins?
Well, when she makes them, I get 2 a day.
Officer Bill Downey,
Look what I got, puppies!
sacrificed one of his 2 pumpkin muffins to lure the dog close enough for another officer to grab him. A sniff, a little lick, and the officer was able to literally make the collar.
Aye, good boy.
But when Officer Downey lamented,
The only thing is I wasted my wife's muffin.
Online posters objected. You didn't waste a muffin, you saved the sweet pup. Officer Downey told his wife people were asking for the recipe.
I go, hey, everybody wants this pumpkin recipe muffin. She goes, it's Libby. It's a Libby box muffin.
And to think that in the movie Turner and Hooch, it didn't work when Tom Hanks tried to use a muffin to befriend the Mastiff. Hooch ended up with his jaws around Tom's throat. In real life, people wondered, did the doggy actually get to eat a muffin? Unfortunately, no. The dog's distraught owner arrived, the muffin was forgotten.
I threw the muffin on the ground for the birds could eat it.
Officer Downey now has a new nickname. The Muffin Man! Using a pumpkin muffin to fish out a dog? Nothing half-baked about that idea.
I'm so happy the pup is safe now.
Yeah, me too. We have some storms in the forecast, but tomorrow and Tuesday look pretty hot with only a 20% chance of storms. Better chance of storms late Wednesday into Thursday. But look at Thursday's high, only 83 and 85 on Friday, and a slow warm up after that, and then normal temperatures as we go into next week. So not a bad forecast, certainly for the 4th of July, because it could be, of course, much, much worse with temperatures over 100 degrees.
Wow. Well, I know you keep an eye on that. That's our time for tonight. Thank you for joining us. We're going to leave you with a video of a water skiing squirrel. Look at him go. We'll see you back here next time. Thank you for making us part of your night.